Well, welcome to today's stewardship conversation with College Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor David Drebus, and with us today is Caroline Haggett, one of our newest members at College Lutheran Church. Caroline joined officially when she was confirmed on Reformation Sunday just this past October. And it's occurred to me that means you're a member of our church officially, but your parents actually aren't yet. That's one thing that was kind of sidelined by the pandemic. They were going to join on Easter, and then you were going to be confirmed on Pentecost in 2020, and that whole plan got kind of tossed out the window. But thank you so much for making time to chat with me and
thanks for having me.
Be heard by the rest of the congregation. You're a freshman in Roanoke County,
Correct.
And right now your schooling is entirely online. You went for that option. How's that going?
It's actually been going really well. I definitely have friends who don't have the choice to do virtual school, and they're having a lot of issues, but I think I might prefer it to regular school, even though there's definitely the social element that I'm not really getting.
Sure. Yeah, well, I'm glad that's going well. Like you said, it's a challenging time for a lot of folks, but I'm glad school is going well for you through all this. Well, Caroline, you and your family started attending our church last October?
October, I think.
October? Okay. I think the first time you joined us for youth group was when we did Trick or Treat So Others May Eat.
Yes.
That might have been your first night at youth group. Do you want to tell everybody what that is? It's a pretty special program.
Yes, it benefits. Which food bank does it benefit? I don't actually.
The Salem Area Food Pantry. Yep.
It benefits the Salem Area Food Pantry. On one Sunday, we go around and leave brown paper bags with instructions stapled to them on people's doorsteps. And then the next Sunday, we go back around and pick up the filled bags, or people can just drop them off at the church.
Right. Yeah. And then we get that food to the food pantry. Yeah, that was a fun way for you to kind of get introduced to people. And one of the things I like about it is we actually walk around the neighborhood surrounding the church. So we get to actually see our neighbors as we do that. We talk about neighbors a lot at church, but here we're talking about literal neighbors who are on the same block as us. So that's pretty neat. So one of the ways we're having these stewardship conversations right now is to really pay attention to how 2020 has been a unique year with all sorts of challenges with the pandemic. And instead of only talking about ways we've been called to share what we've been given, we're also taking time to check in and just hear how many of us have had to step back from things we're used to doing, things we're used to sharing. So I'm curious about that, ways you've had to step back, ways you've been called to step up. Let's start with the first one. What have you had to step back from in the course of this year?
Most of my friends and family are still in Ohio, and I have luckily been able to see them once or twice during all of this, but it's definitely been more difficult to get together.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
And then church-wise, youth group has always been a pretty big part of my faith life, and it is still happening, but it's definitely different not seeing people face to face.
Yeah. And we're not running around in the parking lot or in the yard at church or anything like that. Yeah. Well, are there ways you've been called to step up in other ways? Let's start with friends and family. How have some new things come about for you in that front?
It's interesting. It's been a lot easier for both me and my friends and family in Ohio to keep in touch, because now we're all much more used to virtual relationships. I know that my family has been doing virtual family gatherings about once a month, which is much, much more than we would have family gatherings normally.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, conversations like this were kind of awkward even 9 months ago because none of us were used to things like Zoom. It's much more common now.
Now it feels very normal.
Yeah, it's kind of normal. What about in terms of church? Are there ways you've just been called into something more or something unexpected?
I've been able to attend church much more often, in part because my mom has been recording for our services lately, which makes it much easier for me to get to Salem, which is fairly far away from where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And then in part because when I can't get to Salem, I can still watch the services over Facebook.
Yeah, that was the conversation we just sent out last Wednesday with somebody who's out at the beach, and she worships with us every Sunday. It's pretty neat how that's happened. Well, I just thank you for sharing some of your story, and I'm just reflecting on how one of the few things we got to do in person for youth group this year has been Trick or Treat So Others May Eat just a few weeks ago. That's an outside activity. We wore masks. We could keep distant from each other and drop those bags off on our neighbors' front steps. And we noticed at the time that it was about a year that you'd been with our youth group. So I'm glad you could be there for that.
It was really interesting, like, it's not necessarily how I expected my first year at the church to go, but it was an interesting day to reflect on everything that I didn't get to do, but also everything that I did get to do.
Yeah. Well, and another thing I've noticed, so if we sort of look at you starting with youth group at Trick or Treat So Others May Eat, and a year later getting to do that again, when you were confirmed, you also made masks for all the confirmands.
I did.
So you all had matching red masks for Confirmation Sunday, Reformation Sunday. So that, to me, that just spoke to generosity and creativity, and I'm just thankful that you're willing to share your gifts with our church.
It was definitely a fun thing to do. I think I wanted people to be able to, in addition to being able to save their souls and all of that, having something to save that represented some of the more special parts of our confirmation.
Yeah, you were confirmed in the church parking lot.
I was.
Yeah, how about that? You will remember that for the rest of your life. Yeah. So, well, thank you again, Caroline. We will work on getting your parents to officially join our church. I'm so glad that all of you are part of our congregation.